So for the last few episodes, what we've been shifting towards is looking at how can we really move away from the old school traditional leadership models and really reinventing the way we see leadership from an individual perspective as well as organizations. And what does it look like? How does one apply a different leadership style? And as we navigate through 2020 and towards the end and now into 2021, we can certainly do things better. So from an organizational perspective, today we're going to talk about inclusion.
Elena, we are lucky that in certain countries we have a diverse environment, but inclusion means more than that. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels that they can participate, contribute, and do their best at work. When you have diversity, you have representation of your team and their voices beyond race, religion, generation, culture, gender. And to ignite inclusion, leaders need to communicate a sense of purpose for the team that is bigger than just the value provided to customers and shareholders. Think about it. When you think about the Generation Z, which is the one entering into the workforce today, is they are willing to have a cut on their salary just to work for companies that have crafted a strong sense of purpose. Most will go, in fact, to work for companies like Tom Shoes, where their business is to improve lives. And this is directly correlated to the psychological need that a person has for meaning and serves as a higher drive or motivator for people. Purpose doesn't have to be the company vision, and often it's more about the team purpose. So what we need to consider as a toolkit for a leader is to be able to drive this sense of purpose and meaning at work, to be able to motivate people and energize them at work, to be able to connect emotionally and understand that if emotions are draining and exhausting, to manage, in fact, the energy of the team. And finally, to manage what we call the level of stress, the experiencing stress of the team in their day-to-day life.
Absolutely. And, as you're speaking, I'm thinking it all sounds great. And there's been a lot of discussion around these topics, right? But are we really making an impact? Are we really implementing and practicing these as leaders and organizations? And maybe that's something curious for us to ask our audience. And if you guys want to, you can share in the comments with us. But just to take one example when it comes to purpose. So when it comes to purpose, as leaders, are we really sitting down with our teams and really understanding are our organizational drives and values and purpose aligned with our individual values and purposes, right? Because again, if you have an individual whose purpose is aligned with their professional goals and the organizational goals, you're more likely to get that productivity and output, right? So, but how do we find that out? We need to make sure we spend time with our team members and really have that chance to connect with them and understand what are their aspirations, right? So on an individual level. So I'm just curious how much we're actually putting effort into it.
As you mentioned, Elena, this topic about inclusion is one of the most relevant topics for our days. We have got very good lessons. There is a little bit of progression. So when we were looking at the Gender Equality Index, we see most of the countries progressing. But by far, the inequality of gender in corporations, it is not yet covered. So there is an improvement, but I think that we are by far not yet in the optimal state where we have valued the diversity of genders, where we are fully exploiting the potential that we have by 50% of the population that is not correctly represented, specifically more into the leadership positions. So this is the moment to say, 2020 is the year where, yes, I have progressed, I need a clap on my back. Or this is a time to say, hey, what are we going to do in order to close these gaps? Is it the right time to reconsider how we are doing things and change it? drastically, to make a big step, to punch hard and change things today.
Indeed. How can we be better? That's what we're going to end up with. How can we be better?